in his 2008 Pontiac or whatever, and they just want to be able to plot people. Of course, the answer to that is you take it out. But anyway, that'll have to come later. The point here is that we live in a total police state, and if we don't do something about it, and you're not going to do it through the ballot box, I can promise you that. If we don't do something when the time comes, we'll live in our knees. And that time is coming, and I figure late next year, maybe the following year, and everything's going to blow sky high. And so that's the time frame you get to work in, to get prepared for nasty times, if you may. And so get to it. I only have two questions.
Would the G20 come out?
Oh, we're going to do something about the toxic waste. They did nothing. The only thing is that Mrs. Merkel, who is the chancellor in Germany, said, look, we're not going to give those people in Eastern Europe or the banks any money. Well, they must want the European Union to break up because that's what's going to happen. In the Eurozone, which is 16 of the 27 countries, they will break up too. So there'll be no more Euro, if that happens, no more Eurozone, no more European Union, no more EU passports, and over and over and over. No interchange of people crossing borders to work, and all of that stuff will be ended. Now, I don't know what Germany's thinking about. But if the Illuminists want their dream to continue, which is for world government and to keep the European Union in place, they had best pour out that, I don't know how much it is, maybe $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion, $2 trillion, something like that, to keep the banks afloat who have given all these stupid, crazy loans to Eastern Europe. And if they don't, it's over.
Why is that?
So far, they seem to say, we're not going to do it.
Well, my question is, and maybe I should already know the answer, but why is that so important to them?
I don't know.
I
think the German public has said, first of all, over 70% of us don't want the euro. We don't want the European Union. And furthermore, we don't want you to bail these people out. And we're not going to pay for it. And so she doesn't know what to do. She's a member of the Illuminati.
What would replace the euro?
Individual currencies, the Deutschmark, a French franc.
So they would just go back to their normal currency.
That's all. And that's why Germans will not accept euros that are printed in another country. They will only accept euros that are printed in Germany. And we brought this out in the program before, probably a couple of years ago. And it's still going on. And we get all kinds of correspondence from Europe, from subscribers there, and people who listen in. And just a lot of information. In fact, I have a videotape for this next issue about, this is in the U.S. section at the end. It's about chemtrails. And the German government was confronted by the weather experts in Germany and said, you're altering the weather. And it's the first time anybody's admitted to it, and the government said, yeah, we are. And so that's a big step forward. They didn't get into what else they're spraying, but it's been admitted. And I have the videotape. It's in German, but all the subtitles are in English. You just have to look closely. But it's a good tape. I speak German, so they didn't leave much out. And the man who was speaking spoke beautiful Plattdeutsch. He spoke distinctly and slowly, so that people who didn't have German as a first language could understand him if they spoke German at all. And that was the case for me because I haven't spoken German for a long time. And but I at one time spoke it very fluently. I lived there for 4 years. And
you know
going to a break?
Just about. You know what's interesting about these chemtrails? I mean, I walk my animals, my dogs, at midnight sometimes, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And so I'm outside a lot late at night. And twice now in the past month, I've seen these chemtrails in the middle of the night, and that's something I never saw before. And very distinct, and, the X is very large, and which I think is very unusual. But perhaps they've been there before, but first time that I took notice of them. And I think I hear the music for the break. And if anyone's listening at WFAR, please turn it up so I can hear it. Thank you. We'll be back.
Promise.
I can hear it.
Well, you took the stoppers out.
Anyway, we're back, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. You're listening to Financial Survival, sponsored by Discount Gold and Silver Trading. Yep, 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. And if you would like a complimentary issue to the International Forecaster, you can give us a call on that number, 800-375-4188. And Bob, would you like to tell us about the International Forecaster, please?
It's about business, finance, economic, social, political issues all over the world. And we publish on Wednesdays and Saturdays via email. Runs around 35 pages each time. And we also have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. And if you'd like to go to our site on the Internet, that address is theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, FORECASTER.com. If you'd like to email us with a question, that address is bob@intforecaster.com. bob@intforecaster.com.
800-375-4188 for your complimentary issue, and of course, gold and silver coins here at Discount Gold and Silver Trading. Give us a call, and great prices. Products still tight. This is why we're seeing the coin prices remain strong, and some are even getting stronger with a little bit of a pullback. And we're not going to talk today about confiscation, but Wednesday we're going to talk about it again and again and again. And what is a numismatic coin? What are the guidelines and so forth? So we're going to be talking about those a little bit on Wednesday. But Bob, I got some questions coming in, so let's get to the questions.
Well, I've got two here. They're quick ones. First one about tariffs, and the person has said that they've read books about tariffs and said it prolonged the Depression. Well, the book is wrong, and it didn't prolong the Depression. Everybody raised their tariffs on goods and services, but not a lot, 3 or 4 or 5%, which is not a lot. And it is blamed for the Depression, and wrongly so. The economy was what it was because the Federal Reserve screwed it up. They're the ones who are to blame. And all of the programs that they had during those years by government were unsuccessful, because in 1939 unemployment was 17.2%, and in 1940 it was 16.4%. That's still pretty high, and it had been around 30%. I can never get a straight figure on that, but we'll call it 30%. And so, look, America has been subject to free trade and globalization, and it has ruined industry in America. The only way we're going to force companies to come back and produce in the United States is by putting up tariffs. End of conversation. That's it. The second question had to do with, on the program I had mentioned before that they had built some condos on Lake Walden, or Walden Pond as it's called, in Massachusetts, where Thoreau's hut was. And when I was a child, I used to go fishing up there all the time. And there was no cabin there for Thoreau. There was just a plaque. And now they've evidently got a statue, and they've built a cabin there. And there's no condos, because the condos they wanted to build, they weren't allowed to build. So I wanted to get people straight on that, because I had said I thought that they had built condos when in fact they didn't. And I used to catch lots of fish in there when I was a kid. And that's it.